Okay, today we continue with our class Halachos of Brochos. Today is class number 29. And we start with Sefer Shmiras Halashon. And today's, I apologize. We start with the Sefer Chofetz Chaim. And we start a new section. And the big topic is the many forms of gossip. Right? And today's topic, Rechilus, a definition. Well, the verse, do not go as a gossip monger among you people, it says in Achrona 19:16, prohibits all forms of Lashon Hara. The term Rechil, right, gossip monger, refers specifically to Rechilus, information that potentially can cause ill will between the Jews. Right? So ill will meaning that one guy comes to another and say, you know, I was in that place last time, and they noticed that you were not there, and they said such and such about you. That's the thing. Okay. Where is Lashon Hara? There is the derogatory can cause others to lose respect for the subject. The Rechilus can cause damage to the relationship between the subject and the fellow Jews. Right. So it is forbidden to tell someone that that an individual did something to harm him, spoke Lashon Hara against him, does not like him, or does not respect him. Since such a statement would, in all probability, cause the listener to feel ill will toward the individual, and that's the issue. So it's going to create strife between the Jews. Okay, we stop here. Right. So, Okay, so we start a new chapter today, chapter number 11, and new topic. I'm trying to. It's not always working, but technically we're trying to finish one chapter each time, so we have don't break the topic. We'll see if we can. Okay, so the topic is priority of Brochos. Introduction. The Mishnah states, one who has before him many varieties of foods. Rabbi Yehuda says, if one is of the items of 7 species, he makes the bracha on that item first. Okay, the Talmud Brochos 40b. Okay, let's see. So meaning that even in the Mishnah, they already discussed the priority of the blessing. Okay, blessings. With this statement, the Mishnah in the Talmud commences a discussion of the halachos of priority of brachas. Beyond the requirement of the making correct bracha, Chazal mandated a requirement to recite each bracha according to the definite order of priority. So it's not only correct brachas, but even priority of the brachas must be met. Chazal took into account the various attributes of what makes a particular food chashuv. Chashuv means important, right? An established protocol to follow. In section A of this chapter, we examine the various yardsticks Chazal used to measure chashuv importance. So, meaning we're going to go according to importance, from the most important to the least important. These yardsticks are, number 1, the most explicit bracha. So as we said before when we were asked the question, so the most explicit the bracha is, for example, food of the tree, right? Or I don't know, like our Mezonos or bread. So bread, the most explicit bracha, right? So the more important it is. The more explicit bracha, the caliber of each bracha is ranked according to the specific ranking system. The highest ranking bracha, for example, is hamotzi, and the lowest bracha is Shehakol. Lowest bracha, it's not that it is unimportant, but it covers many other things. It's very unspecific. Let's put it this way. Hamotzi is very, very specific, and Shehakol is very unspecific. Number 2. 7 species. Chazal gave priority to the 7 species with which the Torah praises Eretz Israel. Number 3, whole items. The whole item is considered to be more chashuv than the non-whole item, and therefore is given priority over the broken or sliced item. So, and okay. So even if they're of the same blessing, but one is cut and one is whole, so we give priority to the whole. And number 4, it says preference. The item that one usually prefers is given priority over other items. So we're going to see. Okay, in section B, we examine what to do when the choice involves conflicting attributes of importance. For example, if item A is one of the 7 species, while item B is whole and most preferred, which item should be given priority, right? So maybe this 7 species, I don't know what would be the example, it's not whole. Maybe olives that are sliced, right? Sometimes you have sliced olives, okay? Maybe that would be example, okay? In section C, we discuss the general rules of priority. For example, when the priority is not required. Okay, so let's start all of this, what we just mentioned from the beginning with details and explanations. A, category of importance. Importance in double quotes. There are 4 yardsticks with which Chazal used to measure the chashuvos of food. Chashuvos is importance of the food. Importance, of course, it's in a halakhic sense. Right? The application of these yardsticks will dictate which food is to be given priority. Number 1, most explicit bracha. Right? So the most important yardstick used by Chazal is in determining an item's priority is the explicitness of the bracha. A bracha is considered to be most explicit when it refers to the least number of the items. So the least number of the items it covers, so it's more explicit, meaning the Shehakol covers everything, right? So it's least explicit. For example, Bareplicho 8 is considered to be more explicit than Shehakol. Right, fruit, it's fruit of the tree. Of course, it includes less items than Shehakol. Shehakol include fruit of the tree, fruit of the ground, and other things. Right, beverages. As it refers to the fruits which grow on the trees, where the Shehakol refers to the most fruits. Okay. For more explicit bracha, the more explicit the bracha is, the more it indicates the praise of the Creator. So when we praise not in general, but for specific things. Therefore, Chazal attributed chashuvos to these brachas that are more explicit and gave them priority. For more detailed discussion of this criteria used to determine the ranking of the various brachas according to explicitness, see Hebrew note 28. Okay. Continue. The order of priority is, okay, so here is a formula, very simple. Chamotzi is the highest one because it includes only bread. Baremin and Mezonos. So Baremin and Mezonos, as we said, include all of the products is a bread, bread from the bread family, bread-like, the cookies, cakes, right? And also some other things that are not of the bread family, like all of the cereals, right? Cooked cereals, right? Or like spaghetti, other things, right? Next one, Boreplicha Geffen. So Boreplicha Geffen is we say only on a wine, grape wine. So it's very explicit, right? Next one, Boreplicha 8. So fruit of the tree. Next one is Bareplicha Adama, and next one is Shehakol. Right, so Chamotzi, Barem Mezonos, Bareplicha Gofen, Bareplicha 8, Bareplicha Adama, and Shehakol. So Bareplicha Adama, fruit of the ground. Shehakol is by whose word everything was created, meaning all the meat and eggs and beverages, all besides what is it? Besides the wine, grape wine. Okay, so it was number one. So the number one was the most explicit bracha. Okay, number two, 7 species. The most important criterion in setting the item's priority is if it's if this is one of the 7 species. Okay. The Torah praises Israel for the 7 species, prominent species that grow there. Not only does Torah show the chashuvos, importance of these 7 species by the mentioning them, it is also revealed a specific order of their praise. So, okay, Chazal enumerated the order of the priority in the Torah according to following list. So number 1 is wheat, always wheat, right? Very important. Number 2 is barley. Okay. Number 3 is olives. Number 4 is dates. Number 5 is grapes. Number 6 is figs, and number 7 is pomegranates. So I'm going to repeat again: wheat, barley, olives, dates, grapes, figs, and pomegranates. Let's see. Okay. Pomegranates. Okay. So, okay. So wheat includes all types of bread, cake, baked goods, and cereals made from wheat, from wheat flour, or spelt flour. Spelt is considered of the family of wheat. Okay. So spelt, even though spelt was not said explicitly, but we know it's kind of wheat. Okay. So one more time, wheat includes all types of bread, cakes, baked goods, right? Cereal. So even if you have a cooked cereal from wheat, so it takes the precedence, right? Made of wheat flour. Okay, so maybe cooked cereal is not a good idea. No. If it is cooked, do they make something of cooked? I'm not sure if they make it cooked. I'm not sure. Let's take it back. Okay, or spelled flour. So basically, not the kernels themselves, but actually the flour. That's what we're talking about. Continue. Olives, which includes olive oil, right? Okay. I don't think that we eat the olive oil as it is, but okay, just so I know. But olives. Barley includes foods made of barley, oats, and rye. Okay, so barley includes oats and rye. That's how you get 5 species, right? So of Mezonos. So in Torah they say only wheat and barley, but our sages say, yeah, the wheat and barley spelled, it's like wheat, and oats and rye, it's like barley. Okay. Okay. Continue. Oats and rye are considered in a family of barley. Of course, it's not barley, but it's family of barley. Grapes include wine and grape juice. Okay. B. Okay, so commentary. So we're going to see the commentary. So basically, when we say grapes, so we will say that after the fact, if the person may make the blessing on the grapes, so after the fact, it is covered, I think, after the fact. Okay. So let's see, there is a commentary. Besides, for the attribute of being one of the 7 species, wine also has an attribute of having more specific bracha. This is discussed fully in section B3, so we're going to get to it. So, and one more comment on 7 species. So it says, in cases where the choice is between items requiring the same bracha. For example, apple and grapes, both are prechoates. The yardstick is 7 species. So in this case, we make on the grapes. 7 species is the next most important factor for setting the bracha. So grapes and apples. So of course we may make on grapes. In this example, grapes. One of the 7 species take priority over the apples. Even the apples are whole, right? And also their preferred food, CA4. So even you like apples more, and they're whole, and maybe grapes are sliced, still grapes are a higher priority. In case where their choice involve items of 2 different brachas, for example, banana and grapes, different rules apply, as discussed in section B. Okay, I'm going to see. Okay, so first we said let's summarize. So we said the most explicit bracha. Second we say 7 species. Third we say whole intact. Right. So that's third criteria. Food items that are whole are intrinsically more chashuv than those that are broken or sliced. Thus, the whole roll is more chashuv than the slice of bread. Okay. Commentary. The importance is demonstrated by the halachic requirement to use 2 whole loaves for Shabbos and Yom Tov meal. So it's lechem Mishnah. So I mean, in case of you don't have two whole loaves, okay, you use whatever you have, right? But the most preferable way, we try always to have 2 whole loaves, like not loaves but rolls, small, whatever, not to waste bread basically. Since whole food items are more chashuv, the whole items takes precedence over the broken item. So if he now has to make a blessing, so make a blessing on a whole, not on a slice, provided that the other item does not have any overriding importance. Okay. The whole items takes precedence even if the slice is larger and better quality. Okay, so we're going to see, it's very, very interesting. So it's larger, maybe it's a little fresher, right? But we still make on a small roll because it is whole. Commentary. When preparing to make a bracha on a whole item, which will subsequently be cut, one should cut a slice or a wedge, leaving it's partially connected. Make the bracha and then break off the piece. The item is considered whole if one can hold the smaller part or the larger part, and the larger part will not break off. Thus, when preparing to make a bracha on a loaf of bread, one should cut into the loaf, leaving it intact, make the bracha, and then cut off the piece. On Shabbos, since the bread must be whole, and for the lechem Mishnah requirement, should not be cut until after the bracha is recited. So okay, so they say on one hand we need to have a whole roll, let's say, of bread, right? Loaves of bread. On one hand, on another hand, we have to make after we made the blessing, we have to start eating as soon as possible, right? As we said before, like few seconds we have after you finish blessing until you start eating. So they say if you now, after you make the blessing, now you're going to start cutting the bread, so it might take more than 2 seconds. So they say, okay, you start the process, you cut a little before the bread, and what is the little? They say and what is the little? It's whatever piece you want to eat, right? First of all, and second of all, like how deep to cut. You have to cut so deep that it still would be attached to the whole loaf. And if you pick it up for holding by the smaller part, it's not going to break off from the big part. So I mean that a little scratch and maybe a little deeper than the scratch, it would be sufficient. Okay, continue. Number 4, so criteria number 4, preference. The food item that one enjoys and prefers most is considered chashuv to him. So if I like whatever I like, so it is important to me, right? And is given precedence to other foods that are less preferred. For example, if choice is between apples and bananas, and he usually likes bananas best, he makes boreh prichodama first. It's very interesting, right? So usually we say the blessing on like priority. First we say on a food of the tree and then food of the earth, right? But here, since he likes bananas better, so he makes a blessing on a banana, and then blessing on an apple. Okay, continue. There is a difference of the opinion among the Rishonim as to how to establish one's preferences. One view is that whatever one prefers at this moment is considered halachically as his preference. The majority opinion, however, is that whatever he usually likes best is considered his preference, even though it is not current preference. Very interesting. So what he likes, so how does he know what he likes? So the two opinions, whatever he likes right now. I don't know, maybe if in the case of this banana, maybe it looks very ripe and very delicious to him at this point, even though usually he prefers apples, right? That would be the first opinion. And second opinion, the majority said, no. Whatever he likes better, and usually whatever he takes it, give the precedence to, that's what he likes best. Okay. Continue. In a case where one usually likes both items equally, a preference is given to the items he prefers at this moment. Okay. All right. Continue. B, section B, are choices involving conflicting factors. So now here we go, very interesting, right? So there is, as we understand, there is many times it's more than one attribute that we have to consider. Okay. So let's see. In this section, we will examine the halacha when the choice involves conflicting rules of importance. For example, if item A is one of the 7 species and item B has more explicit bracha. Item A is 7 species, B more explicit bracha. Okay. The poskim take into account all of the various rules and delineate a master list as follows. Number 1, bread, rolls. Okay, here we go. Number 2, cake, cereal, and other mezonos. Number 3, wine, grape juice. Number 4, fruits, vegetables. In fruits, vegetables, A, same bracha, B, different brachas. Okay. Number 5, shehakol, other foods. So let me read again the list. So one more time. 1, bread, then rolls. Number 2, cake, cereal, and other mezonos. Number 3, wine, grape, juice. Right. Number 4, fruits and vegetables. Right. A, same bracha. B, different bracha. And 5, shehakol, other foods. For example, if one of the seven fruits and a cake, one of the 7 fruit and a cake, priority is given to the cake. Okay, so he has what does he have? Like I don't know, this pomegranate and cookies. So he makes on a cookies and then on pomegranate. Okay, continue. Beyond the master list, there is a more detailed set of rules. For example, if there are 2 types of cakes being served, one made of wheat flour and other made of oat flour, the cake made of wheat flour takes precedence. So now, even in a gradation the flours, it's also very, very important, because oat, as we said, it's not explicitly mentioned in the Torah, right? Barley is. So only rabbis had this oat, right? So wheat first, and then and it's going to cover this, of course, this oat flour. Okay. Continue. The following more detailed list includes rules for spelecting from among items with each broad category. Okay, so now we list these 5 things, 5 species, and now we're going to go one by one. Bread, rolls. To establish the priority of food, generally, we look first at the explicitness of the bracha. Secondly, it is at this position. Secondly, at this position, on the list, the 7 species. Thirdly, if it is whole. Fourthly, the items most preferred. Using this criteria, bread becomes the first priority of the list, since it has the most explicit brachos. So as we said before, all of the breads. Continue. A. So we're talking about breads. If one has a choice of breads, including bread made from different grains, the order of the preference is. So one more time, and let's see. There are a few commentaries. So we're going to discuss only breads now. If one has a choice of breads, commentary, in the choice discussed below, it is assumed that all of the breads are pas Israel. For cases involved the pas akum, see Shulchan Aruch 168.5. So here we said that pas Israel, meaning the bread made by a Jew. Of course, that's the priority. If even a better quality bread, but flour, but made from by non-Jew, different rules apply. Okay. So one more time, if one has a choice of breads, including bread made from different grains, the order of the precedence is the 7 species are discussed in section 8. Okay, wheat, barley, because as we said before, it also mentioned explicitly in the scripture. Spelt, rye, oats. So that's. It should be noted that the most breads, even most commonly called rye bread or corn bread, are nevertheless made predominantly of wheat and contain only a small percentage of rye or corn. Yeah, that's some. When we make this rye bread, just call rye, but I think it's only like to make it tasty, we add only like 25%, I think, like maybe 30% tops of the rye. The rest is wheat. So it is called rye, but it's not, basically. The same with a cornbread. They call it cornbread, but it's not. Okay. B. So that's why if you buy from the store, you have to see the ingredients. Okay, it's called cornbread, but it's not. Most likely it's most of it was wheat flour. Continue. B. Where the choice of breads include the whole roll and sliced loaf, both are of the same grain, the whole roll takes priority. Okay, so only if of the same grain. So if it's wheat smaller, let's say whole roll, and sliced, maybe even fresh slice, so we take on a whole. Okay, we make the blessing on a whole. Commentary. If the choice between the whole loaf of barley bread and a slice of the wheat bread, it is preferable to take the slice of wheat bread, place underneath the barley bread, and recite the blessing on them both. Right? That's what that's I think from Mishnah Berurah. That's what he says. Right? So Meaning what? Even this oats bread is a whole, wheat is sliced, so it may make the blessing on both of them and cut both of them together and eat two of them. So it's you're going to get covered from all of the sides. Okay. So one more time the whole sentence. Where the choice of breads include the whole roll and a sliced loaf, right? Both are of the same grain, the whole roll takes priority. The whole roll is deemed more important, even if it is smaller and of inferior quality than the sliced loaf of the same grain. So maybe inferior quality, maybe it's a little burn, maybe it's the flour is not as good, not as fine, stuff like that. Okay. So next one, C. If both items are whole, both are sliced, right? I mean the same, and are of the same type of grain, it is the better quality item comes first. So maybe it's a more refined flour. Okay, so that's it comes first. Next situation, D. If both whole or both sliced and of the same grain and of the same quality, the larger comes first. So that doesn't matter, even if slice or whatever slice is larger. So even though all of the other conditions are met, so that's you make the blessing on the larger. Next one, E. If both of the same type of grain, whole, the same quality, and the size, priority is given to one to one own personal preference. Okay, but I mean exactly the same, but he likes this. Somehow he likes this piece a little better, so he can make a blessing on that piece. Okay. So number 2, cake, cereals, and other Mezonos. The main criterion for establishing the order of priority of foods is the explicitness of the bracha, as we said before, right? Borei Minei Mezonos is the second highest ranking bracha, so after the bread. Therefore, the next priority after bread is any Mezonos product. When the choice of food is include a food whose bracha is Mezonos, the food takes precedence. That food takes precedence. So, and as we said, it could be cooked, right? Okay. Regarding the choice between the product having the attributes of Mezonos bracha versus the item which is higher on the list of the 7 species, see Hebrew Note 28. Okay, so we're going to see. Actually, regarding the choice between the product having attribute of Mezonos bracha versus the item which is higher on the list of 7 species. Okay, we're going to see. We're going to see meaning. Okay, we're going to see. Okay, continue. A. But the choice include baked products made of different types of flour. The order is wheat, right, as barley, as it says in the Torah, spelt, rye, and oats. Commentary. So if it's baked products, each commentary. One's personal preference does not matter in regard of the choice between the grains. There is wheat is always the first priority. Barley is always the second priority, even if he prefers one of the other grains. So because it's this list, this priority is directly from the Torah, so whatever our preference are irrelevant. Okay. It should be noted that the most cakes and cookies, even those called oatmeal cookies or corn muffins, are nonetheless made of predominantly from the wheat flour. Breakfast cereals, however, are commonly made from many different grains. Okay, so just so we know, all of the cookies, they say oatmeal cookies, still mostly this, wheat flour. Continue. B. If the choice includes whole products, for example, whole cookies, and fragmented product, for example, slice of cake, the whole product takes precedence. So you have beautiful cake, nice looking cake, and a small cookie, so it's slice of the cake, but the whole cookie, so we make the blessing on the cookie. C. If the choice is between wheat products, which are sliced or fragmented, and barley or other grains products which are whole, the wheat product, even though fragmented, take the precedence. For example, a slice of cake made of wheat flour takes the precedence to the whole cupcake made of another grain flour. Okay, so wheat, it doesn't matter if it's slice, it has more precedence. D. Cakes, crackers, or other pas habab b'kisnin. Okay. Products, cakes, crackers, other pas b'kisnin products take priority over the other Mezonos products. For example, if the let's understand. So cakes, crackers, and other pas habab b'kisnin. So all of these other Mezonos products that have bread-like attributes. So meaning they're not cooked, they're baked. Okay, products have priority over other Mezonos products. For example, if the choice is between cake and spaghetti, or between crackers and cooked cereal, the cake and crackers, being pas habab b'kisnin, so it's like attributes, some attributes of bread, take the precedence over the spaghetti and cereal, which is not pas habab b'kisnin. So meaning if he's going to eat a lot of crackers or a lot of cakes, so at some point the person would be obligated to say Birchas Hamazon, right? But doesn't matter how much spaghetti you're going to eat, you're never going to be obligated to say Birchas Hamazon. Continue. E. If all of the items are of the same flour and all are whole, right? All of the same flour, all are whole. Priority is given to the one of personal preference, right? Same flour, wherever he likes, right? All of the whole, so everything is the same. Okay, whatever he likes. F. According to some poskim, although rice products such as rice cereal, cooked rice, and the like are considered Mezonos, with regard to the bracha, they're not equal to the Mezonos products of the 5 main grains. According to this view, rice products are considered equal to fruits and vegetables, say below, with regard to priority of blessings. Okay. Other poskim, however, do consider rice product, which required boremine Mezonos equal to Mezonos products of the 5 grains with regard to priority. Okay. So we actually try to follow this second opinion. So of course, if a person has cookies or something, and he would make a blessing on this cookie, so it's going to cover rice, of course, right? But otherwise, for example, there is no other Mezonos food besides rice, so he makes the blessing on the rice first. Continue. Part number 3: wine, grape juice. Bareplicha Gafon, being a very explicit bracha, takes precedence over all other brachas except Chamotzi and Mezonos. As we said, so because it's very, very important, wine. A. Wine or grape juice takes precedence over all other foods, excluding bread and Mezonos, even if one usually prefers the other foods. So it doesn't matter whatever he likes. In this case, it's irrelevant, basically. B. Although wine itself is a great product, it nevertheless takes precedence over grapes. Since in addition to being made from grapes, his bracha is explicitly designated for wine. Right? Okay. So wine is okay, separate category. Number 4, fruits and vegetables. The next priority after the bread, cakes, and wine are fruits and vegetables. Okay. There is a basic difference between cases involving fruit and vegetables covered by one bracha. For example, grapes and apples, and cases involve fruits and vegetables covered by two brachas. For example, grapes and bananas. Thus, fruits and vegetables are divided in two categories, same bracha or different brachas. Okay, so let's see. All right, so of course, in these examples, there are two different blessings, grapes and bananas. Same bracha. In case where the same bracha applies to both items, for example, grapes and apples, the item of the greater chashuv takes precedence. One's personal preference is only considered after the other factors. Okay, so if he has grapes and he has apples, so we make the blessing on grapes because it's more important. Okay, number one. If any of the fruits are of 7 species, and the order of the precedence is olives, so we're talking about fruits only, right? Olives, dates, grapes, figs, and pomegranates, all others. So, okay, one more time. Olives, dates, grapes. So olives is the most important, as we see. Dates, grapes. So number 3, figs. Number 4, and then pomegranates. Okay. And then all others. So we're talking about fruits only. Number 2, if none of the fruits are from the 7 species, for example, apples and oranges, or if all of the fruits are of the same species, for example, all grapes, whole fruit takes precedence over the sliced one. Okay, so if it's all grapes, maybe even different kinds of grapes, like black grapes and I don't know, like green grapes, right? So we make the blessing on the whole one. Okay. Number 3, if one fruit is sliced and of the 7 species, and another fruit is whole but not of the 7 species, the sliced one of the 7 species comes first. So sliced, I don't know what is sliced. The slice is grape, right? And the whole apple, nice, beautiful apple. So we make the blessing on the grape, even though it's only half of the grape. Okay, number 4. If the fruits are neither from the 7 species nor whole, right? Not from 7 species, meaning it's like a salad or something, right? All the cut. Preference is given to the fruit that usually prefers. Commentary. If he usually likes all of the fruit equally, he should give precedence to one he now prefers. Okay, so if he no special preference, so whatever he likes at this point is good enough. Okay, so so next section. So we just finished section same bracha, meaning on the fruit of the tree, and now we go into different brachas, meaning fruit of the ground and fruit of the tree. Some poskim consider Bare Pricha is more explicit bracha than Bare Pricha Adon. I'm not sure why. I mean, why only some? Okay. However, many poskim rule that both brachas are equal. Very interesting. So they say it does not matter. It's a fruit of the ground or fruit of the tree. Interesting. In this case, where Bare Pricha Eitz and Bare Pricha Adama are required, the item of one personal preference takes precedence. For example, if the choice involves grapes and bananas, and one usually prefers bananas, they take precedence of the grapes, despite the fact that the grapes are Bare Pricha Eitz and of 7 species. So let's see the commentary. The fruit items that one prefers takes precedence in case where both fruits are whole. Okay. Where both fruits are not whole. In case where one fruit is whole, and one prefers the cut, it is questionable as to which to take priority. Okay. So if it's different blessings, and he likes, according to what it says here, he has grapes and bananas. Let's say grapes are whole, banana is whole, right? And he usually likes bananas, so he makes a blessing on a banana. It should cover the grapes. No, not cover the grapes. He makes it the first blessing. Okay. First blessing. Continue. If one choice involves fruits, and if one choice involves a fruit, and a vegetable, the item that I usually prefer comes first. Number two, if he likes items, if he likes them all equally, the priority follows the order of the 7 species: olives, dates, grapes, figs, and pomegranates, and others. Number 3, if there are no fruits of 7 species, and he likes them all, equally, the whole fruit takes precedence. Number 4, if they are all perfectly equal, and they are neither of the 7 species nor whole, Barepricho 8 takes precedence over the Barepricho Adam. Okay, so because as we said, it's more explicit. Number 5, Shehakol. Last in the order of priority are foods requiring Shehakol. A. Items requiring Shehakol are the last in priority. Okay, even if the item is intrinsically better, and even if it is one of the preferred foods. Okay, so one more time. The items require Shehakol, the last of priority, even if the item is intrinsically better, and even if it once preferred food. So I don't know, maybe he likes steak, right? On steak we say Shehakol, but first he has to make the blessing of all other things. Okay. B. If any of the Shehakol items are whole, it is preferable to make a bracha on that item first. Otherwise, the item which he usually prefers comes first. Commentary. If he likes them all equally, the item that is prefers now comes first. Okay. So very interesting. Let me see. I don't think. Actually, we can finish. Maybe I'll need like a few more minutes, and we can finish. So section C, other rules of priority. Bracha, Achrona. Okay. The priority, the Halachos of priority also apply to Bracha Achrona. The final bracha as well. For example, if wine, dates, and cakes are eaten, the order within the text of the bracha Achrona is ala mechiyah for the cakes, ala gefen for the wine, and choetz for the dates. Right. So when we say this me'am shalosh, this ala mechiyah blessing, so and we ate cookies and we drank wine and we ate olives, so we include in this priority, in this sequence, not priority, sequence. I mean, that's how it appears in the siddur, right? So first we say on the Mezonos, on the cookies, then we say on the wine, if one drank wine, and then on these fruits, right? Continue. The bracha achrona, so meaning even concluding blessing, also comes in a priority. The bracha achrona for Mezonos and for the seventh species takes precedence over Barei Nefashos. So Barei Nefashos, just to remind us, we say for the rest of the foods that are not included in this, not Mezonos, not fruits of the 7 species, and not the wine. Okay, and not bread, of course. On bread we have Berchas Hamazon. Okay, so for the rest of the foods, we say Barei Nefashos. For example, if one ate cake, drank milk, he should first recite Ala Michia and Barei Nefashos. Okay. So commentary. So first he said after blessing on the cake and then on the milk. Commentary. If one went to the bathroom after eating, but before making bracha Achrona, he should first recite Asher Yotzer and then bracha Achrona. I'm not sure why he's saying this, but okay. I mean, why he's saying this point. So first, basically, this after blessing, as we said last time, it can wait some time. So now he's obligated to say Asher Yotzer after the rest. Do that, and then you say blessing after the foods. Number 2, cases where priority does not apply. Okay, so what does it mean? The requirement to say the brachas in a specific order does not apply in the cases where A, only one item is in front of him. Okay. B, he does not want to eat both items. So I want to eat only one, so I don't care about the other. And C, there is explicit reason for eating the less chashuv item first, whatever he wants. Okay. So we're going to discover all of this. Okay, let's see. So it says A, only one item is in front of him. I mean, there is no choice. Okay. When only one item is in front of him, where he began to eat, the rules of priority do not apply. One does not have to wait for more chashuv item in order to give that item priority. For example, if one is being served coffee and expects that cake will subsequently be served, he need not wait for the cake in order to give priority. That's a perfect example. I like it very much. So he starts with the coffee, he makes the blessing on the coffee. Of course, cake is not covered when cake comes, so he makes the blessing on the cake. B, does not want to eat both items. Even though both items are in front of him, he is not required to give priority to the more chashuv item unless he plans to eat it. For example, if apples and grapes are in front of him and he only wants to eat apple, he is not required to make the blessing Borei Prichoetz on grapes. I mean, straightforward, right? Not required. C, explicit reason to eat a less chashuv item first. Okay, so what is it? When both items are in front of him and he wishes to eat both, if there is a reason for taking the non-chashuv item first, he is not required to follow the order of priority. The following are examples. Okay, so let's see what is the example. Kiddush. Kiddush on the wine is made before making hamotzi on the bread, right? So bread, as we said, is the most important. Wine is not as important as bread. But there is a reason to make on blessing on the wine first, right? Despite the fact that bread usually takes priority over wine, since the kiddush must be recited before eating, the requirement to give priority to the bread is waived. That's one of the reasons. That's why we covered bread. According to many Rishonim, the reason for covering the bread, okay, exactly, until after kiddush is recited, is because the priority is generally given to bread, right? So now we like embarrassing bread and we're doing on the kiddush, right? On the wine. The same rule applies to those who make kiddush on whiskey. Okay, continue. According to some poskim, basically here he has a specific situation where he has to like ignore the halachos of priority, right? According to some poskim, one should also cover the cake during the recital of kiddush, just as one covers bread, and that's what exactly we do always. Next one, second is Havdalah. If Havdalah is being recited in the same time, the Melava Malka meal is about to be served, the bread should not be brought to the table until after Havdalah is recited, right? So, okay. So because why? Because we start with wine. If the table has already been set with bread, bread should be covered prior to recital of Havdalah. Bread or cookies, as we said. Okay, so next situation. Number 3, main course need not precede appetizer. Main course, okay. Where it is customary to eat first course, appetizer, ahead of the second course, okay, one is not required to give priority to the second course, even though it is higher in level of precedence. For example, if the fruit cup first course and the Mezonos main course are set before the person, he may disregard the Mezonos and make the bracha on the fruit cup first. Right? That's it's like if it's appetizer. That's the sequence of eating usually. Right? B'diavad. Number 3, b'diavad. After the fact, A did not select the correct item. Very interesting. If one make a bracha without giving priority to the appropriate item, the bracha is valid, b'diavad, for the item upon which he made the bracha. So after the fact, okay, so just continue eating, right? For example, one had apples and grapes before him and made bracha on the apple, even though he should have made the bracha on the grapes. Nevertheless, the bracha is valid for the apples. Okay, so okay. It is important to note that in some cases, although the bracha will be valid for the items which he selected, for example, in our case, the apples, it will not be valid for the mochashuv item that is grapes. Commentary. Where is commentary? I'm not sure where's the commentary. Oh, in the previous page. The criteria used to determine which items from among the groups of the item is a mochashuv are the same as those used to determine the items take priority. Okay, so basically he made a mistake, but then instead of making the blessing on a grape and cover the apples, so he made them the apples, and since the grapes are mochashuv and he did not have specific, let's say, intention to cover grapes, so it's not covered. In section 7, section B, chapter 7, section B, we learned that if one made bracha on one item, which is otherwise less chashuv, and also not the items that he likes best, the more chashuv item is not covered, even b'diavad. Okay. So if he does not like apples best, so now he would need to make the blessing on the grapes. Thus, in above example, where the bracha was made on apple instead of the grapes, and it was not because he liked the apple better, the bracha will be only valid for eating apple and will not be valid for eating grapes, since the grapes are more chashuv than the apple. They are not covered by the bracha made of the less chashuv item apple. Commentary. However, if at the time he made the bracha had specific intent to also cover the chashuv item, it will be covered. As we said, it's actually from chapter number 7. So, but if he did not have anything like this specific intent in mind, so grapes are not covered. D. Did not, so all of this b'diavad after the fact, right? Did not say the bracha in a proper brachas in a proper order. If one forgot and did not say brachas in a proper order, the brachas are nevertheless valid b'diavad. For example, so after the fact, don't need to fix anything. For example, one was served cake and fruit. He incorrectly made the bracha on the fruit before making the bracha on a cake. Although he did not make the brachas in a proper order, nevertheless, both brachas are valid. Right? Fruit and cake. So, of course, as we said, Mezonos takes priority. He switched priority after the fact. No problem. And last one, 4. Priority of fragrance brachas. All brachas on fragrances come come after the brachos on food and have their own order of preference. So, I mean, we're going to learn it's not in this chapter. Okay, so basically, if he wants to smell fruit, let's say it's not nice smell, first he makes a blessing on the fruit itself, eats it, and then he can smell it. Okay, so I finish this chapter. Of course, it's a lot of material, I understand that, so we need so in classes like this, you have to get the book or just listen and make yourself a notes and then learn it maybe 1 or 2 or 3 times. Then we can memorize. Okay. Any questions? A few minutes. Okay, no problem. All right. Thank you very much. Good night. Good Shabbos until Monday, Be'Ezrat Hashem. Thank you. Okay.